Daniel Jones is likely to miss one game with that hamstring injury.
Yeah, I'm going to wake up to this one, man. Daniel Jones, the de facto best quarterback in the NFC least, leading the greatest 4-7 team I've ever seen in my life in the New York Giants. The one thing that I said yesterday about this being a bad thing if they had to miss a couple of games is because we really don't know what we really have in Daniel Jones yet. We finally saw some games where he looked like he wasn't turning the ball over, and guess what? They were winning. So now they're going to have the great, if they go out and win the NFC East, they have the grand prize of getting smoked by the Seahawks, getting smoked by the Cardinals, they're getting smoked by some great NFC West team. But we will know who we have in Daniel Jones. We will know who to go after in the draft to help build this franchise, especially with Saquon Barkley coming back. I think this is a good thing. We're going to wake up. I'm glad the time isn't going to be that devastating. What do you think, Monica?
We don't have a choice but to wake up to this because you got to do what you got to do. But Colt McCoy, I don't mean retread in a negative way. Shout out to Colt for still having a career, but I remember him as a backup here in DC.
Hey, I know your Washington football team bias is about to jump in. You've seen a lot of Colt McCoy over your days, so if you want to put the Giants fans of New York on game on what they can expect this week and possibly next, what can we expect from Colt?
We can expect Joe Judge to create a terrific game plan that suits his strengths. And so I will say the silver lining in all of this is it's another opportunity for Joe Judge to put his stamp on this organization and how we navigate an additional hurdle. And on that, we're going to move on, Cass.
Yeah, let's move. Let's get it. Let's go.
All right. Wake up caller, hit the snooze. You mentioned them, the Seattle Seahawks. I'm not going to lie, producer Bob Lawani, you're terrific, but the way that this wake-up call or snooze is phrased irked me. Don't sleep on the Seahawks? Who's sleeping on the Seahawks? No, I don't. Their defense is horrible. It's a historical level bad in the NFL. But sleep on them. We were talking about Russell Wilson as an MVP. Who is sleep?
Well, I'm with you on that, Monica. I know the big narrative even from the first week of the season is Russell Wilson has never had an MVP vote in his entire career, which is a travesty, which is crazy. But there were two games this past month where a lot of guys in the NFL, the talking heads and the pundits, were kind of jumping. They were jumping off the Russell Wilson bandwagon over two games. He threw a couple of interceptions, had a couple of bad games. Even when they went up against the Arizona Cardinals, people were picking the Seahawks to get smoked on Thursday night. And now let's not get too carried away. The Eagles are trash, all right? The Seahawks did what they're supposed to do, and they are in the best division in football in the NFC West. But to completely sleep on them, you can't. You absolutely can't when you got a guy like Russell Wilson under center, man. So I'm waking up to this one.
Oh, I was snoozing this. I really think we need to work on the definition of wake up or snooze because I'm snoozing this. This is stupid. Nobody has slept on him. When a team plays bad or when Russell Wilson throws the ball over more times in a string of 3 games than he threw it all of last year, we're going to talk about him. Your Super Bowl run is in jeopardy because you cannot afford to be that. Yeah. However, when the conversation still becomes who might come out of the NFC, the Seahawks are still in that conversation. Yeah, nobody is asleep. You just have to play better.
That division is tough, though, man. The 49ers are coming up. The Cardinals are there. The Rams are there. There's a lot. That's going to be a dogfight coming out of that division. So we'll see.
100%. 100%. And if they don't, I wouldn't be shocked either. But the idea that they're not a team worthy of being in the contender conversation is funny to me. Okay, moving right along, though. Speaking of that division, the 49ers, they've got to play their home games in Arizona because of COVID restrictions in Santa Clara. Wake up caller, hit the snooze on this one, Cass.
Much like the folks in charge of the NFL, I'm snoozing on this one because they don't know what they're doing. What's a home field advantage anyway in 2020, all right? Like, who's really going to make the difference when there's 1,100 people in a 70,000 seat stadium, okay? Like, at the most. Like, that's if you are allowed to even have fans in your stadium, all right? There's no such thing as a home field advantage in 2020. Up is down, left is right. We're living in the upside down in every year. And you know what? If somebody who's a 49ers fan wants to say, oh, that's an unfair advantage, they're playing in their division rival stadium for the rest of the season, or for the next 2 games of the season, I'd say go sit on a cactus because there's really nothing you can really do right now. The NFL is just trying to get these games done and just get it rolling, all right? Like, who cares? Who really cares right now? I'm snoozing the hardest on this.
Listen, Do me a favor, Batman, because I'd like our show to keep going. Stop saying go sit on things, okay? Let's move on. I agree with you. I'm snoozing because clearly
Listen,
the NFL
Arizona
is just gonna do whatever
Cactus.
they
I
can.
thought this was it was meant to be. I thought it was a cultural reference, Monica. I'm trying to let people know there's more out there than in New York and the DMV.
No.
So there's plenty of cactuses to go sit on in Arizona. So that's
you
what
did
49ers
sit on yesterday too. We're gonna move on. We're snoozing this. The NFL has taught us at all costs they're gonna get these games in, which is why we got a 3:40 game on Wednesday this week.